I gotta be in Florida by 2 because she's having octuplets on her birthday, and that's in like 20 minutes. So I gotta like catch this plane and bake this cake in like 20 minutes, and I don't have enough time to bake this cake. So if I increase the temperature and decrease the time, will that bake me a quicker cake?
Hey Cole, to answer your question about baking a cake and the relationship between heat and time, we'll be making 2 cakes today. The first will be following the box's instructions for 30 minutes, and the second will bake in 20 minutes.
These are the concepts that we will be covering today so you can better understand what's going on inside the cake. Materials for cooking, which is specific heat capacity, conduction, convection, and radiation, protein denaturation, and phase changes.
Let's get cooking.
So we have our pans laid out here. We have ceramic, glass, and aluminum. We decided to use aluminum here because it has a higher specific heat capacity, making it better for baking. We also preheated our oven to 350 degrees for our control cake, and we greased our pans.
In order to bake a cake, you will need 3 eggs, 1 1/4 cup of water, 1/2 cup of oil, and your baking ingredients from the box.
Alright, let's get mixing. First, take your package of cake mix and pour it in the bowl. Then, you pour in 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. Then you pour in your water and your eggs. Make sure not to get any shells in there, because the octuplets are not going to enjoy that. Next, mix for 30 seconds.
Okay, our cake mix is mixed, our oven is preheated, and the only thing left to do is put it in our cake pans. So we're going to have 2 cakes. We're just going to pour it over. We're going to make the control cake first. Pour it in the pan, nice and evenly. And make sure not to spill any, because the octuplets need their cake.
So let's pop our control cake in the oven. This cake is at 350 degrees, and we're going to put it in there for 30 minutes.
Hi, I'm here to teach you about the 3 ways heat is transferred. First is conduction, next is convection, and the third is radiation. In cooking a cake, 2 are used, convection and conduction. Conduction is when the 2 surfaces are touching. In this case, as a cake, the metal coils or the rack is touching the pan, which then cooks the cake. In convection, the heat in the oven, or the air in the oven, is heated to cook the cake from every angle.
So some people wonder why it is that when you have cake batter, which was a liquid, and you heat it and it turns into a solid. That's because we're used to dealing with something called phase changes, where when you heat something it would melt. But that's because cake isn't necessarily a phase change as much as it is a chemical change. In cake batter you have a lot of different substances, and so a lot of those substances have proteins, and when you heat proteins, there's something in proteins, a specific protein called polymers, and those break apart and they wiggle around when they're heated, and it allows them to attach to other polymers, which makes the batter, which is liquid, into a solid. That's also why when you have batter and you stir it, you don't want to stir it too much, because that also can loosen the polymers and allow them to attach to other ones and make the batter clumpy.
Fantastic.
So, to show that anyone can understand basic chemistry, we brought in Brad. Brad, would you like to explain protein denaturation?
Hey guys, so protein denaturation occurs in cookery when a substance is heated. When this process happens, the protein or denaturation is first altered. Next, a physical change takes place, and that leads to coagulation or aggregation of the proteins. In cakes, protein denaturation is affected mostly by electrolytes, sugar, temperature, time, the reaction of the solution, the amount of water with dealing with eggs, and yeah.
So this is our second cake. And it appears fine. It cooked fine. And here we have our control cake. And that also looks fine. So we have concluded that raising the temperature 50 degrees from what the box says and lowering the time 10 minutes from what the box says will give you the same cake. Well, Cole, thanks for calling in.
We hope you learned a little more about chemistry through our experiment today.
This has been Cooking with Cole production. Ding, 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 ding.